Right. Welcome to Warminster Scoop. Today we have John Ramey, our financial director, with us, and we're going to talk about a few of the great things we've done here, and how the outlook is for the township's finances. Welcome, John.
Thank you.
How are you?
Good. How
Good
are
to
you
see
doing?
you. So, let me start, John, by asking a simple question. So in 2020, the township, actually in 2019 going into 2020, and the budget for 2020 had a $2.5 million deficit. And I know you came on board around, January 2021?
Yep.
So that first year was pretty chaotic, and we really had to get a handle on things. We moved some money around. We actually transferred the stormwater over to the municipal authority, which kept us going until we had someone in here that was like yourself. And thanks for taking the position. But tell us a little bit about what you did to bring us to where we are now, which is on solid financial footing. I know Bill McCauley, we brought him in as a manager, and then he got ill, but right before he brought you on board.
Yep.
So give us a little taste of some of the maneuvers you did.
I mean, the biggest thing I think was we simplified the budget process. What was happening before is the township was patting itself on the back for this budget award, which complicated everything. As someone, before I even started municipal government, I was an auditor for 15 years. I had trouble reading that budget, so simplifying it and just breaking it down to like real simple process of what it really should be, I think that helped a lot. There were some really good things that happened in 21. Interest rates were real low. Besides the storm sewer, we did do a big borrowing that helped pave a lot of roads, get things back structurally where we needed it to be. But with that borrowing and being able to save the money from the sale of the storm sewer, that's what gave us a good footing to move forward capital project-wise.
Yeah, well, I think we also decided to live within our means too, and the operating budget was just tax revenue based. Isn't that right?
Yeah, and as we do the budget, like as we're doing right now, the biggest thing is to make sure that current year expenses are in line with current year revenues. Not saying, oh, let's use reserves to keep taxes down. Let's just keep everything going the way it should be of the current residents are paying for the current uses.
Yeah, and and we have kept the taxes down, by the way. We're going to get to that in a little bit. We have a nice little visual for that. Let's see, where do we want to go from there? We don't want to get into any numbers. We don't want people to start getting glazed over. So we want to keep it very light. So I know, after the pandemic, we had the ARPA money, and ARPA stands for the something recovery. What was it again, John?
American Rescue Plan Act.
American Rescue Plan Act. Yes, thank you. So we had definitely some challenges, and once we got through that, I know we set up. I think we set it up while you were here, and our interim manager, Steve Wiesner, helped us put together an OPEB liability to fund our other than pension benefits for retirees.
Yeah, so like the two big things we just mentioned, the way we used the ARPA funds was the right way of doing it. I know other municipalities that used it for payroll, for programs. Well, it was a one-time payment, so it should not be used for those kind of things. What we did, we used it to do some infrastructure work. And most importantly, over at our senior center, which is a disaster,
It's an emergency shelter place, correct?
Yeah. So we upgraded the HVAC unit. We put a generator in there. So that's the way the money was supposed to be spent, and I think we did a really good job of staying on task of not using it for long-time programs when it's just a one-time revenue. The other thing that you mentioned was the OPEB liability. So the one thing, OPEB is other post-employment benefits. It's pretty much like health insurance after people retire. That liability was up to like over $21 million. I know we're not trying to talk numbers, but
Well, we need to throw a few in
Yeah.
here. You are the finance director.
So we did throw out, we put $1.5 million into a trust. It's an irrevocable trust. Once we put the money, we can never get it back. And that's a big decision. Not a lot of municipalities do. By doing that, we were able to actually have it assume rate of return for that money that we have in there. It actually lowered the liability by $10 million in 1 year. So that, I know we're going to talk about like bond ratings and stuff like that in a little bit. That is a huge draw that makes our balance sheet look way better of not having this giant liability. So that was a big deal.
Right. So our balance sheet removes that liability.
Yep.
It's not smoke and mirrors. It's something tangible and real.
Yep.
Yeah, and I know that Del Valle Finance Authority, we just went through not so much a bond rating yet, because I know our bond rating will definitely go up now because we're in such solid footing, thanks to you and everyone else here at the township. But they had some talking points. They asked us a few things. They asked us about the OPEB liability and the MMO. You want to touch on the MMO?
Yeah. So one of the
Which is
again,
minimum municipal obligation.
Yeah.
That goes to the pensions.
and it's something like we've actually just become more responsible with. We could have left like I talked about the interest rate, how much money we plan on making off the money in the investments. When I started, that was at 8%. We dropped it down to 7.5% 2 years ago. This year, we approved to drop it down to 7.25%. So,
Which is a more reasonable rate of return.
and that's, at this point in the market, getting 8% over a 20-year period would be a miracle. And it's just not possible.
It's not practical. It's
yeah.
not, it's a number that's kind of pulled out of thin air, which keeps the minimum, the MMO at a lower
Yeah.
number, right? But it doesn't help the pensions.
It's definitely kicking the can down the
Right.
line. So
Right.
by doing that, our MMOs for next year went up almost $500,000, but we could have kept it the same, actually lower the MMO, but it is the right thing to do, and I think that's the one thing from management that we've been trying to do is always just do the right thing, not the easiest thing. I think
Yeah,
that's a
and I
good
know,
point.
and there were some tough decisions that you presented to the board, and we made those decisions. And so far, it's working out well. So the MMO goes up a little bit, but the actual pension fund is more healthy,
Mhm.
and that's a big deal. So because we have a reasonable rate of return,
Yes,
with that
exactly.
7.25. I know our target was to get around 7, wasn't it?
Yeah, so in the next couple of years, hopefully the trend keeps going of good market years, but I doubt we're going to have that many good market years like we had the last 3 so far.
So, yeah, let's go right into, because Del Valle, I'm not sure who does that bond rating. I think Moody's does the bond rating, but right now we are at what? AA, is it?
Yep.
We're at a AA bond rating. I know when we started, it was an A rating with a positive outlook,
Yes.
and now we're at a AA, and I'm hoping, when we get our bond reevaluated or bond rating, that, what do you think? How's the outlook for that?
I mean, speaking with him last Friday, it was absolutely, completely positive. He looked at our financials and said, the reserves have gone up to more than appropriate levels almost, so that we know that we can keep doing our capital projects, which is what is the long-term issue with the township, is just make sure we can still keep doing paving roads, doing the curb ramps, and anything in the parks that we need. So having those reserves, that's why it's important, and being able to move forward and know that, hey, we can actually make a capital plan as opposed to just worrying about next year.
Right.
I think that's huge.
Yeah, it is. It's nice to be able to sit here. When I first came in here, I lost about half of my hair, and most of it is all now gray, worrying about how we're going to make things work because it was quite a financial conundrum, so to speak. And how about we talk about some capital improvement programs? I mean, I think our bond rating should go up. Let's talk about borrowing.
Yeah.
You know, I know we have some debt. I know originally we refinanced the debt at an incredibly low rate. What was it, 1.3%?
1.46.
1.46%, which helped us out enormously because we used to go to banks to borrow money at a pretty high rate. And then we went to the Delaware Finance, and we got rates incredibly much lower.
Yeah, which is actually goes back to having these reserves, because every year in January, we would borrow what's called a tax anticipation loan. It's to cover January through March expenses until tax money comes in. That's at a very high rate.
What is that interest rate, do you remember?
At this point, it's probably about 6%.
6%. So we would borrow money to pay our bills at 6% because we didn't have enough money in reserves to cover.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one of the proudest things I would say that like we should have is we don't need to borrow money in the short term to pay our bills. So we can get through those tough months of where revenues don't come in on a regular basis. Come March, we get a lot of EIT, a lot of tax revenue. So that's why a lot of municipalities have to do these, what's called a TAN, the tax anticipation loan. I would just say having the reserves is probably one of the most important things that the township can have. And looking at the debt, at 1.46 at this point, it's almost free money.
Right.
So I would never, like, why would we pay it off? If something happened, we had to borrow at a higher interest rate, we lose money. And we're actually making money at a higher interest rate than what that loan was borrowed at. We're not using the loan proceeds because that would be illegal. So we used all the loan proceeds properly, but having the reserves, we were able to invest them. And right now, since the Fed lowered the rate, we're at 4.25%, as opposed to paying 1.46. So every month we're making almost 3%.
And that's on the reserves.
Yes.
Right. And those reserves are set aside for hard economic times,
Yep.
Which I don't think we've done for quite a long time. Well, that's great. Yeah, we want to keep things legal and very transparent. I know we don't want to have to bring the police chief in again for another interview.
Yeah.
Unless it's going to be for him to promote a couple more police officers.
And also, like, talking about debt, like, one of the biggest things, I love using this example as a resident that, oh, you're living here for 20 years, you need your road paved. All right, we're going to save up the money, and then you're going to sell your house, then we're going to pave the road. So we used your money to pave the road that you don't get to enjoy. The reason that debt is appropriate and every municipality should have it is we borrow the money, this is what we did in 21, paved 20 miles of roads, 20% of the township, and 20% of the township, they're paying for the roads that are in front of their houses while they're enjoying them. You sell your house, the new person moves in, they're paying for the road.
Right.
So that's kind of like the reason why debt is important and always should be involved in the capital planning of townships.
Right. So as long, excuse me. So basically what you're saying is as long as you live here, you'll enjoy the benefits of the infrastructure improvements. And then when someone else moves in, they will continue to benefit from those improvements and pay for them as well. It's not like you pay it up front, you move, and that money's gone.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, should we go into what kind of, I mean, I know we pay for the police, 46 police officers and their support staff, firemen, public works, all the staff here. So how about we take a look at how many dollars pay for that from the residents? I mean, I'm sure the residents would love to see that. I know we bring it up in our budget every year. We show a dollar bill. There we go. Go ahead, John, you take the helm there.
All right, so we're going to work backwards with starting with the school tax, which is the biggest tax. Everyone lumps in all the real estate taxes together, says the township's doing this. The township hasn't raised taxes since 2022, and that was to hire firefighters. The school taxes, as everyone knows, goes up every year. That's 76% of your total tax bill at over $4,400. What you get with them, you just schools, the transportation, the teachers, technology, and as the husband of a special ed teacher, individual support resources, very important.
Yeah, I mean, it pays for education. So 76% of your property tax goes to the school district. And then I see we have the next one down as far as the amount is the county tax.
Yep. One more comment on the school tax is there's a lot of people that talk about, oh, I don't have kids in school. My argument always is your house more valuable because you're in a good school district? That's why you pay the school
Well,
tax.
that's key. And then,
Yeah.
and the people, I know when my kids fled the roost there, or fled the coop, they, when they were looking for houses when they got married, that's one of the things that they definitely looked at is the school district.
Yeah.
And where they moved, it has a great school district, and this is a good school district as well, but the property values are higher where there are good school districts.
Yep. And we'll get that, go back to that when we get to the local, but for the county, so the county and the township are pretty similar, but the county, you get the courts, emergency services, the community college, community development, human services. Again, these are things that actually make your house more valuable. So for $674 a year, or $727 a year, these are things that actually mean something that you should always take in consideration as that tax bill comes. And then most importantly, with the township taxes, for $638, you get the police, the fire, the ambulance, the public works, the library, most importantly, the finance, the administration, and the parks and rec. These are, again, things that really drive up your property value. I've presented a PRPS, which is a park and rec conference, and there's a direct correlation of where your house is related to a park. If you're closer to a park, your house is more valuable. So you may not use the park, but you're benefiting from that park being around your house. So all of these things, if you got good police, good fire, like your house is more valuable. And for 12% of your total taxes, $638 a year, it's actually a pretty great deal, I think.
So on average, the $638 that pays your local tax to the township, we get 46 police officers, 5 full-time firemen, public works, roads paved, the support staff here, parks and rec. Yeah, it's an incredible bargain actually when you think about it, for all the services that we provide for $638 a year. It's
$53 a month.
right. Yeah, it really is. It's a challenge because we haven't had any property reassessments since 1973. 50 years is tough, but we manage and we do, and you do a great job providing the funds so we can provide the services to the residents. So let's talk about. Let's move away from that, and let's talk about some of our capital improvement programs. I know we have a few things lined up for next year.
Yep. Yeah, it's real touch on some of the things that are going on right now.
Okay.
We have a big trail project. We're repaving the trails in the Warminster Community Park. So
Yeah, I know we wanted to do more, but we wound up having to redo the entire roadbed because they didn't have a good solid base done originally, so we had to dig it all up. But yeah, it looks great. I was over there.
Yeah, and the big thing again, what we're doing, we're not putting patch jobs on things. We are doing it the right way. So digging up the beds, keeping the full width of the path that was already there. We could have narrowed it, But we just said, no, we're going to do it the right way. We'll pay the extra money and then not have to worry about it for a couple of years.
Right, and I think we, because of the finance and because of being responsible, I believe we were going to try to do, we had money to do the entire 5 miles.
Yep.
Over at the community park, and then I think because of the additional cost to make it a 30-year investment, we decided to do half this year and half next year.
Yeah.
So as to not distress the fund.
And that's the point of having the reserves when things like this, projects get started and you realize, oh, something happened and you want to do it right, we have the money to actually keep doing things right.
That's great. That's great. What else do we have?
We're keeping the road program. Right now, what we've been budgeting and what we've been doing every year is about $1 million worth of roads a year and about $350,000 worth of the curb ramps that are on the corners. Just trying to keep those projects going every year so that we're not falling behind or skipping a year, so we don't have to do 20 miles in 1 year. So those programs are going good. Probably the biggest project we got going on is the golf course. And
That's exciting.
And that is a big one. But the most important thing to talk about with that one is the golf course is going to pay for itself. The residents are not. It's not going to, we're going to borrow money, but the golf course, it will not affect taxes in any bit whatsoever.
So we're going to borrow against the revenue generated by the golf course, and
Yep.
we don't have to raise taxes to build a really nice clubhouse.
Yep.
It'll have a full second floor banquet facility for 250 people for a wedding or an event of 250 people. Downstairs, smaller,
The simulators.
the golf simulators, we can have golf leagues all winter, and a bar restaurant with hopefully some entertainment, open year round. I
Yeah.
mean, and it really is, we saw some renderings, we don't have them up here, but we'll get to that, at another date. But yeah, it's really, it looks like a private country club. It's a beautiful building.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
And the golf fund does fantastic already. Adding new revenue streams, I think, it easily pays for whatever the debt service is going to be.
It'll pay for the debt service, and it'll provide quite a significant amount of revenue once we start being able to book larger functions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Anything else?
No, I
Did
think,
we cover everything?
yeah, I think so.
John?
This,
It's a pleasure, as always. We really appreciate all your hard work, you and your staff, and it's always nice that your door, anytime I have a question or need you, you're always there.
Yep.
So I really appreciate your great work, and keep it up.
all right.
Great
And
to
I'll also
see
say I'm also available to any resident that has a question too,
Okay,
anytime.
great. And you can see all our finances. They're posted every month. There's no hidden secrets. There's nothing to hide, and you can take a look at that. And you have questions, let us know. We'll see you at the next Warminster Scoop. Thanks.
See you.